Hello and welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and Third Person Blueprint course. In the last lesson we left ourselves off with this mansion section over here, and we got to make sure that it fits nicely with the overall section. We started doing this area and we just removed some door, we added a balcony and whatnot just to make sure that it looks nice from a specific angle. But we're still not quite done. For starters, I don't really like how this is set up in regards to just plain wall. So I'm actually going to search for a way of breaking this down, and maybe I'll just go ahead and use something like this to help it break up the surface a little bit. And we'll actually just make a duplicate out of this, like so. And this is looking quite alright, so I'm just going to extend it a little bit and put it over here, something like that perhaps. Because otherwise this would have looked a little too flat, so I think that's going to help us out a little bit. I might even just separate it into another chunk over here, or even grab a small block or something of the sort and just kind of put it up like that. So just again to help up to break off the surface a little bit, like so. Maybe that's going to look quite a bit better. I might just duplicate it over here on the side. At this point I'm experimenting, making sure that it looks quite nice, quite alright. In regards to the overall section, I might even just grab it outside a little bit. This one is going to be overlapping here. I don't want to be touching this wall, so I'm going to keep it as is. And maybe just bring this entire section inwards a little bit, like so. Alright, so that looks quite nice. I'm going to check from a distance, and I'm going to click, just rotate the camera around, click C, to just, while holding right mouse button, that is, click C. And I'm just going to zoom in and see how this looks like from a distance. And I think it's quite alright. It still looks solid, like going upwards, but at the same time it doesn't look just like a plain type of a mesh, just like a solid mesh. So I quite like this a little bit better. I'm not sure how to end this off actually. I might leave it as is in regards to this overall selection, and just grab just go ahead and look real quick. There should be a section where I'd be able to there you go, this wall over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and just end this over on this section quite nicely, like so, using this type of a pattern, just like that. Might need to extend it though a little bit. I think I will do. And yeah, I think I'll just extend it. It'll be quite alright in regards to that. And yeah, actually that, oh no, that doesn't look like it's working perfectly fine. I need to make sure it does look quite nicely, so I'm just going to go ahead and actually go inwards with this. Maybe something like that. Don't quite like it, so I'm just going to keep it something like this. There you go, just lower it down. And there we go. Alright, I think it's going to be quite alright. Maybe it just needs to keep going a little bit. I'm going to take off the grid a little bit, set it to 5, and going to just slightly push it inwards like so. See how this would look like. Bring it upwards like that, playing around with it a little bit. I think that's going to look quite alright. I think we're going to leave it as is. This one is a little bit outwards. I'm not sure why that is the case. I might have grabbed it by accident. Now I just need to reposition this a little bit like so. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with the result for this. I might need to consider grabbing this outside a little bit again. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Going to just expand it since it's underwater. I'm not really needed to add too much detail in regards to that. We don't need to be perfect when we're building. We just need to make sure we give off a believable type of a look. All right, another thing that we need to consider is how it interacts with the rest of the world. So for example, over here, well, I need to maybe add a bit of an extra chunk over here in this area, like so, just keeping it off, something like that. And just lower it down, keeping it like this. This looks like a believable entrance. This I think is going to be quite alright, keeping it as is. I might just lower this down a little bit. Yeah, I think that's going to be quite alright. The other part we might need to consider maybe is going to be like over here. If we were to just get some of the blocks, as you can see, this is a nice, quite a nice alleyway. Because it's darkened this down, we can see all the emissiveness. That's the structure is set up with, and we're actually quite fortunate with that. I would have considered maybe removing some of the parts as well in this area and whatnot, but honestly it looks quite alright. I think we're going to just leave it as is. Lower this down a little bit, and there we go. We got ourselves a nice flat surface, and this looks like a bit of a bump. So if I wanted to make it walkable for this section, I would have added stairs, but at this point I'm not going to be worried about it too much over here. We're now going to need to continue on with the section. I'm going to just check around real quick, making sure that it looks quite all right. Yeah, I was thinking about the terrain itself, and I think I'm going to leave it actually as is in regards to the terrain, mainly because it actually looks like it's going to look quite nice overall. I'm not too worried about here. I am worried about this building floating, but we're going to be fixing that in the future. For now, though, let's go ahead and focus on our next building, which is going to be this part over here. This looks quite empty at the moment, so let's go ahead and fix that. So if we look back onto the gray box, we can see that it is a sort of a nice restaurant area over here, just to help us break off the harbor a little bit. We can look from a distance, and it has like those nice arcs over on the middle section over here, and just overall it's going to help us break off a little bit those kind of cubic looking sections. Because as you can see over here, if we were to turn off the gray box, there is a lot of closed off type of rooms, closed off type of structures. So we're going to make use out of this section to help us break that down. The unfortunate part of it though is that, well, actually, let me just go ahead and fix this section over here. I'll just add something like this, maybe. That's going to be quite all right. The unfortunate part is that because we're not using those kind of blocks, chunks that we set up previously, we're going to need to make sure that we build it from scratch, basically, more or less, in regards to the building. So certain buildings will need a certain amount of more attention than others. For example, it really depends how well structured you want it to have. So let me just go ahead and see this building again. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to build it up and see how it goes. Actually, just to be a little cheeky with that, I'm going to go ahead, and I think I can make use out of the cubes over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab one of this building, just hold Alt and put it off to the side like so. And yeah, I think that's going to, yeah, I think we're going to be able to get away with this. Actually, I'm quite happy with that, since now we'll be able to just position this accordingly like so. I'm going to hold Alt, drag it off to the side like so. And I'm going to turn off the gray box. Actually, let me just go ahead and see how this building behaves. And we need a certain foundation for this one. So I'm just going to go all the way to the back. The reason I'm doing this right now is just making sure that the elevation and the overall silhouette is being kept the same, and then afterwards we can just play around and see what works the best in regards to the visuals. I'm going to go ahead and find myself, where is it, the stairs area perhaps? That's not it. We're going to find, there you go, arches. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to find this section over here. And I'm just going to grab all of these like so, see what's up. And actually, I prefer to keep the roof not wooden. It's going to be looking more luxurious if we're going to have this sort of a color. So I'm just going to grab, yeah, I think I'm going to grab the largest square that I can find and grab all three of these over here and then start building with them, basically. I'm going to hold Alt, drag it outside onto our level, like so. Bring it upwards. And just reposition this a bit closer to the rest. So, something like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get these all the way closer. I will change the grid to 10 right away, actually. So we could have like a nicer snapping. I'm going to just move it over here. Keep it floating above. We don't really care about it for now. I'm just going to make sure that the roof section for this is going to be nicely positioned. Going to lower this down like so, and yeah, that's going to be quite all right. Going to hold Alt, make a duplicate, maybe Alt again, make a duplicate again. Not worried about this going into the building, as it's not going to be visible. If we were to turn that off, you can see it, it's going to look quite all right. And we can work with that. I'm going to use this extra time actually to remove the harbor, and then in the next lesson we're going to continue on with that restaurant area. So like that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in a bit.